All right, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Racha HaKodash, double honors, and to the apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well, and salutations to the sincere and hopeful elect Akim that push the word of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai in spirit and in truth. Ma'ah Arabai Alap, that is to say, 144,000. Shalom to you, brothers. All right. This is an article from RT.com, and it's going into, some major players, in World War III, being Russia, China, and the West. Okay. So as we see here, the title reads, "The West is breaking up. Here is what Russia and China must do. The old world is fading. Moscow and Beijing are building a new one." Okay. So the title itself is an appealing title. All right. Hearing that the West is fading is actually, good news. All right. If you're in your right mind. And to hear that China and Russia erroneously assume that they are the ones that's going to build the new world is hilarious. Okay. Because China and Russia ain't about to do nothing but build up the kingdom of heaven for us as slaves. All right. The people that remain of China and Russia after the missiles are dropped are going to be carted off into captivity. And the only thing they're going to build is what we tell them to build. All right. They ain't about to build no new, system that relies on AI and all that crazy stuff that this current world, is heavily dependent upon. All right, that's not going to be in our kingdom. We're not going to need no AI and quantum computing and all that crazy shit, man. All right, and we have the scriptures that clearly illustrate, what it is that these nations are going to be doing here in the future. So I'm gonna grab some precepts dealing with that, but I just want to read a little bit of this article so that you can see, the mind frame that, these nations are in. They're not concerned about the return of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, okay? Even though they are, they're concerned in regards to, what prophecy says, all right? A so-called alien invasion in their mind, all right? Where they're going to band together. And, that's why, even though, these nations are could be arch enemies on earth, they know that, the elite of those nations know that, the Lord is going to return, which is why the scriptures do say that, they're going to band together to try and fight against the Lord when he returns. All right. The elite of the other nations know that the Lord's return is real. Okay. So that's why as much of a enemy that these nations can be to one another, they still, deal somewhat cordially with each other because they know that time's coming. All right. So getting to it, it says Russia and China have emerged in recent years as standard bearers of a world that aspires to multipolarity. Okay. So multipolarity being, like they say, you got polar opposites. For instance, you got Europe or Russia itself in South America is two different poles. All right, one's north, one's south. All right, of the equator, one's east and one's west of as far as hemisphere. Okay, so that's the world that Russia and China is fighting for. A world where all these nations pretty much come together and form a coalition of pretty much of trade, doing business with, the world over. All right. Meanwhile, you got, America in particular, the West, it's been so used to just ruling, with Washington, D.C., uh, pretty much dictating what's going on around the world. No other nation has a say so in world affairs. That's how Babylon the Great has been running the show for a while. All right, and the nations, they ain't with that no more, man. Okay, the nations want a multipolar world. Okay, where their input is valued. Okay, it says their strategic partnership tested by global uh, crises, and geopolitical turbulence now serves as a cornerstone of what is often called the world majority, a growing group of states seeking independence in foreign policy and development. Okay, so these nations is seeking to depart from underneath Babylon's shadow and link with China and Russia, and with that be able to um be able to provide input and be valued. Okay, because when you up under Babylon's umbrella, you ain't valued, man. Even though everything that Babylon consumes is your value. Whatever resources you have, Babylon's gonna exploit that. All right, and get wealthy off of that, consume that, but give you no credit or even compensation for it. To the degree that they should. The nations are tired of that. Okay. It says, despite intense Western pressure, including sanctions and information campaigns, Moscow and Beijing have preserved and even deepened their cooperation. This partnership is not only important to both countries, but it also carries global significance. It is a model for how major powers can challenge hegemonic structures while remaining committed to international norms. Okay. Not to mention that you got the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, that coalition going on, you know, which Russia and China are a part of that. Okay. It says as Russia and China consolidate their own partnership, they must also pay close attention to major changes underway in the Western world. These changes, particularly in the United States and Europe, are opening new opportunities, but also risks that must be understood, and but also bring risks and that must be understood and addressed. Fractures in the Western Bloc. Okay, it says first there is growing divergence between the United States and its European allies. All right, and you see that with these tariffs. Europe ain't just about to sit back and let Babylon just slap it with tariffs and they themselves not retaliate. Okay, we see that happening. It says we have seen Western European capitals express dismay and confusion over several decisions from Washington, indicating a widening strategic gap as these countries try to recalibrate in response to an increasingly unpredictable United States. Mutual misunderstandings are multiplying. Okay, so what the West is doing, what Trump is doing with these tariffs is just causing confusion for those Western European countries, man. Because a lot of those Western European countries are members of NATO, as well as Babylon the Great, America being a member of NATO. All right, so here it is, your allies, but the West being America is slapping tariffs on its allies essentially. That's causing confusion, man. Now these the allies got to react, and it's not a it's not it's not convenient, so to say. Okay, for those European countries, it says what was once a coherent and unified collective West is now a patchwork of competing interests and visions. Okay, it says this fragmentation deserves close attention from Russia and Chinese policymakers and experts. A coordinated approach to monitoring U.S. EU relations and engineering a joint analysis will be essential for navigating the future. All right, so Russia and China is looking at the situation of America in the West and just waiting for the pristine time to capitalize from that. All right, it says second, excuse me. All right, second, internal divisions are widening within political elites of Western countries. One camp recognizes the need to adapt to global shifts in internal socioeconomic challenges. Another clings to outdated globalist models, attempting to preserve Western dominance without addressing the root cause of their decline. This internal rift is especially evident in the United States, where political polarization has become extreme. The outcome of this struggle is far from clear, but it may result in more erratic and aggressive foreign policies, including toward Russia and China. Western elites may try to externalize their internal failures by escalating global tensions. Moscow and Beijing must be prepared for this, possibly. Okay, and that makes sense that, when America is going through things internally, they look to take it out on other nations. That makes sense. Strategic economic cooperation. The Russia-China economic relationship has proven resilient even in the face of relentless U.S. and European attempts to isolate both powers. Still, recent years have revealed vulnerabilities. Threats of sanctions and secondary pressures have disrupted trade flows and delayed projects. A critical task for both governments is to identify weak points and develop safeguards. By insulating their cooperation from external interference, Russia and China can enforce mutual trust and build an even stronger foundation for political alignment. This will be especially important as Western pressures continue. All right, the role of Europe. Western Europe remains a complex factor in global affairs. Its economic weight is still significant, especially for China, and its cultural and political evolution bears close watching. Russian and Chinese analysis sometimes differ in their assessment of the region's future role, but should neither side should ignore it. Okay, so that's a key piece of information there, that Russia and China, their opinions differ when it comes to the role of Russia in the future. You know, like China might feel that, okay, Europe's role is going to be this in the future, and Russia feels that Europe's role is going to be this in the future. What that is not quite clear, but we know the role of everybody in the future. Okay, the prophets of the Lord know. It says upcoming political changes across European states could open the door for more pragmatic leadership. If so, Moscow and Beijing must be ready to engage. Even now, despite deteriorating ties, Western Europe remains an important partner and a variable in the broader strategic equation. Excuse me. It says countering Western divide and brutal tactics. All right, so the nations know how Babylon has been getting down all this time. Okay, divide and conquer. All right, so it says countering Western divide and brutal tactics. U.S. policymakers have made no secret of their interest in weakening the Russia-China partnership. Some have floated the idea of pulling Moscow away from Beijing to prevent a deeper Eurasian consolidation. These efforts will intensify, especially if U.S.-China relations worsen. It says we should expect Washington to seek separate dialogues with Russia and China on issues such as cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and nuclear arms control. The goal will the goal will be to highlight differences and create the illusion of divergent interests. Such moves must be met with caution and solidarity. There are no serious contradictions between Russia and China that would compare with the historical tensions of the mid 20th century. The current strategic alignment is based on shared values and practical interests, but this unity uh, must be constantly reinforced as both the government and social at both the government and social levels. All right, so there's more to this. Um, actually, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read here. Toward the shared Eurasian future. Okay, it says that finally China and Russia share responsibility for shaping a peaceful and prosperous greater Eurasia. They are both committed to preventing external interferences and managing conflicts across the continent, coordinating their strategies for development, connectivity, and conflict resolution in this vast region is not only desirable, it is imperative. The future of Eurasia depends in large part on how effectively Moscow and Beijing can harmonize their visions. This is not merely an academic debate, but a real world challenge with lasting implications. Conclusion: Russia and China are navigating an era of profound global change. Their partnership has already become one of the most consequential in the world of politics. But the shifting dynamics of the West, particularly the emerging crisis within the United States and Europe, present both dangers and opportunities. To protect and advance their shared interests, Russia and China must act strategically, studying Western developments, reinforcing their own cooperation, conquering divide and rule tactics, and deepening ties across all levels of society. Together, they can help shape a world order. Okay, a new world order. All right, shape a world order that is more just, stable, and representative of the true diversity of global power. Blah 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 blah. You're going into slavery. Did you read that in the Bible? All right, inside joke. Um, so I'm gonna get some scriptures to edify on Russia and China not being, uh, not being, not being able they're not gonna accomplish what they set out to accomplish. All right, the new world order is gonna go up in flames. All right, so grabbing in the GNT Second Esdras, this is chapter 15, and I'm gonna start at 46. It says, "You, Asia, are to be pitied." Okay, And for the most part, you know, a lot of times when you think of Asia, you think of China, okay? Because China is, you know, in Asia, all right? Which Asia simply means east, okay? You, Asia, are to be pitied. You are doomed, all right? In the Apocrypha, it says, woe unto thee, Asia." Roughly paraphrasing, if I remember correctly, it says, "Woe unto you, Asia," which woe means destruction. Okay, it says, you are doomed. You have enjoyed the splendor and glory of Babylon." Okay, China itself, in particular, has really enjoyed, you know, the splendor of Babylon. Man, you got a Chinatown in every major city in America. You got a Chinatown. All right, go to New York, go to Philly, go to Seattle. Okay, go you know, go to Chicago, go to any major city. You got a damn community of damn Chinese people. All right, acting like they own the place, in which they do. You have a lot of places in America, a lot of real estate and things of that nature. Like in particular, I believe it's Detroit. You know, you got Chinese that own a lot of that infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? And that's them partaking in the hope of Babylon, as it says in the Apocrypha. Okay, it says, "You have enjoyed the splendor and the glory of Babylon." These Asians they flood American universities to get education. All right, and while they're getting the education, they're driving Porsches and Lamborghinis, Ferraris, you know, BMWs, Mercedes, Teslas, you know, these nice high end cars, because of the money that they've been able to, you know, their families have been able to accumulate by way of, you know, shipping goods over here to America and getting rich, all right, or finding some type of loophole, some for education and business, you know, and you know, getting rich, man. All right, and therefore they're able to send their kids over here to receive education. All right, so you know, we see how you know, this has played out over the years. Okay, it says, "You have enjoyed the splendor and glory of Babylon. You have imitated her and dressed up your daughters to look like prostitutes to please and gratify your lovers who have always lusted for you." Okay, and so Esau, Edom, they have a love affair with the Moabites. Okay, that 1-2 combo of Esau Moabite business and is deadly, man. All right, because Moab have a sick desire to want to be Edomites, man. And they copy Edomites in everything they do. Whatever they say, whatever they see Esau do, is exactly what they're gonna mimic. All right, and find a way to do it for cheap. They're gonna do it cheaper. Okay. All right. That's why when a lot of those Chinese come here to America, you know, you can tell that they desire, they want to be Edomites, man. You know, they the women get married to Edomite men. You know, uh, everything they do is they mimic Esau and everything. All right, and it's irritating and disgusting, man. Okay, but that's true how it says, "You have imitated her." All right, being at the East Asia, in particular, for the purpose of this lesson, being China, you know, they have dressed up their daughters to look like prostitutes to please and gratify, you know, your lovers who have always lusted for you. All right, Babylon the Great. All right, in particular Esau Edom, because Esau Edom is who rules this current Babylon. All right, and you know, Asia pretty much, you know, rules the East. All right, minus Russia. Okay, it says verse 48. It says, because you have imitated that vile prostitute in everything she has done or planned, the Most High has this to say. So because you Chinese, Asia in particular, or in general, excuse me, but in particular the Chinese, since you wanna be a whore just like Babylon, all right, you whore, all right, inside joke, because you want to be a whore like Babylon. This is what the Lord got to say, all right. Verse 49: I will send disasters upon you. I will make you a widow and send poverty, famine, war, and epidemics to destroy your homes and bring ruin and death. All right. So that's the the world order that the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua is bringing. All right, not what China and Russia plan on doing. When the West fragments even more. All right, and they just sitting back licking their chops. Waiting to make their move. Hey, the Lord gonna throw a cold ass monkey wrench in everybody's plans, man. All right, he gonna throw a monkey wrench in everybody's plans. All right, he gonna bring destruction, man. Okay, verse 50, it says, the power of which you boast will wither like a flower when the burning heat is sent upon you. All right, so man, when the nukes go off, all that shit your aspirations will melt away. Trust and believe. Okay. It says you will be that artificial sun that y'all think y'all about to do miracles with. That shit gonna be destroyed too, man. Okay. Verse 51. It says you will be a wretched, weak woman, so bruised, beaten, and wounded that you will no longer attract your wealthy lovers. So the infrastructure and the resources that China is dependent upon and get rich off of and trade and barter with and all that, they're gonna be so devastated and destroyed that's gonna be a thing of the past, man. That's gonna be an afterthought. Yeah, you thought you had resources and tea that you could as the Apostle Tahar says from time to time, I wouldn't want to be a Edomite for all the tea in China. You know what I'm saying? All that tea y'all niggas got, that hey, that nuclear fire gonna do some damage, man. Okay, so the resources that they naturally have on their land is gonna be greatly affected. All right, it's not gonna look the same. They ain't whatever they got is gonna be ours anyways, but things is gonna be different. The road is gonna be different, man, after those missiles go off. Okay. It says in verse 52, I will not punish you so severely, says the Lord, if you had not murdered my chosen people, but you took great delight in striking them, and when you were drunk, you boasted about killing them. All right, so Moabites are proud, man. The pride that they have is second only to the pride of Esau. Okay, and there's a lot of stuff that the Moabites have done to the children of Israel that we don't even know about. Okay, because you got Jake all over. Okay, so you've had generations of Israelites, foreigners living in the land of Moab that have been persecuted. Okay, and that's just the nature of Moab, man. They hate Israelites. Okay, they hate Israelites, and when you see it here in America, man, they get a store and how do you even buy? How do you even you the bag? Inside joke. All right. I mean, shit. The damn Moabite. Back in the days, I had got some food, some chicken yakisoba, I believe it was, from a gook spot. And so I order my food, the food ready, I get it to go, and I'm asking the lady, could I get a bag? I paid for my food, asking her, could I get a bag? This damn Mobike gonna tell me, you the bag. Like, no, hold that shit. I'm not giving you a bag. I'm like, man, that shit had me pissed off. I wanted to crash out on the old bitch, but I held my Israelite reserve. Um, but that just goes to show that these heathens, in particular, Moab, man, they hate niggas as they see us. That's why, like, they go up when you go in the store. Back in the days, they used to hurry up and buy because they think you stealing. Or they really watch you. There's a corner store around the corner. From this gas station that we go to sometimes. And Moab is up in there, man, and they do the same thing. They look at you, don't say nothing, but look at you from the time you walk in till the time you leave. They looking at every aisle you go to, making sure you ain't stealing nothing. Okay, but yeah. So this the old Moabite lady gonna tell me, you the bag, like hold it. I'm not giving you a bag. I'm like, man. And then I know another time I went in there, and the people, some Edomites had ordered some food, and she gave them a bag, man. Gave them a bag. And then when I asked for a bag, she wouldn't give me a bag, man. So that was the last time I went there, man. But that just goes to show that they don't Moab hates Israelites, man. All right. So hey, the punishment, the severe punishment that they about to get is a result of them uh you know uh murdering the Lord's chosen, having delight in just being demons towards Israelites, that warrants them getting their ass kicked so crazy. All right. Verse 54 says, paint your face, you will be paid for your work as a prostitute, you will get what you have earned. All right. So the slavery that these Moabites get, and you earned it, man. You earned every drop of it, man. Okay. It says, I will pay you back, says the Lord, for what you have done to my chosen people. I will bring disaster upon you, on you. You will be put to death, and your children will starve. Your cities will be torn down, and the people out in the country will be killed. Okay, because you got Moabites and living all in those crazy regions of China. So when the missiles go off and these disasters happen, like, it's gonna be chaos, man. All right, it's gonna be chaos. Verse 58, it says, those in the mountains will starve, their hunger and thirst will drive them to eat their own flesh and drink their own blood. You will be more miserable than anyone has ever been, but there will be still more punishment to come. The army that destroyed Babylon will march back through your country and devastate your peaceful city. Okay, and we know that Gog is going to shoot, in these times, Gog is going to shoot missiles here to Babylon. Okay, so, and just let you know that, these nations, even though they're allies now and all that, man, when war breaks out, man, things be unpredictable. So the greatest, the strongest allies turn on each other when they see, oh man, we can go for the gusto. Shit, fuck me, allies, man, we can take them down and we can rule, man, we can beat them guys. That's how these nations think. Okay, so don't be surprised when tension between Russia and China, starts to come about, during World War III. Okay, It says the army that destroyed Babylon will march back through your country and devastate your peaceful city. It says they will destroy your beautiful country and leave most of it in ruins. All right. Your country will be destroyed like straw in a fire. All right. All that greenery over there in Russia is primed for being burnt up. I mean, in China is primed for being burnt up. Excuse me. It says they will burn up all your forests and orchards. And hey, that's the spirit. I just said that. It says all over your land, your cities and mountains will be covered with ruins. All right. Your splendor will vanish. Your children will be carried off as prisoners. Your possessions will be plundered. All right. They're going to be carried off. The children are going to be carried off as prisoners to serve slavery underneath the Israelites. Okay. And whatever is of value that remains is going to be ours. So that's what Russia and China need to prepare for, or China in particular. All right. Not no new world order that that they are hoping for. There's going to be a new world order under us, the Israelites, a righteous world order. Okay. This is Revelation 20 and verse 7. And as you see, it says, Satan freed, doomed. KJV, it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Okay. And that 1,000 years is referring to after the Dark Ages. Okay, because during what the world calls the so-called Dark Ages, you had the Renaissance, which the Renaissance, in the mid 1400s. All right, because in 1492, you had Christopher Columbus sail the ocean blue. All right, going out being a demon to pretty much conquer the Western world, starting with the Akim, our brothers that's down in the islands, all right, in the Caribbean, Santo Domingo, DR, Hispaniola, all right, which is known as today as Dominican Republic. That's the first place Christopher Columbus touched down. So in the mid to late 1400s, that's when Esau was loose out of his prison, because Esau is a physical counterpart to the spiritual demon Satan. All right. So around that time, that was the end of the 1,000 years of Jake being in power, and that's when Esau got his bearings about himself and got back into power. Okay. It says, and shall go out, verse 8, and shall go out to deceive the nations. And what has Esau done since he's been freed, since he came from out of that Ooga Booga state? All right, all he's done is just deceive everybody. All right, and he started with one of the things he started with was iconoclasm. All right, the defacing of images. All right, whitewashing images. It was a so-called brown faced world, depicted in portraits and paintings and things of that nature. First thing he did was, no, we gotta bleach everything. We gotta make everything white. We gotta make everything pale. All right. So since he's been, in a position of power, all Esau's done, for the sake of it, for history. All right. Throughout history, all he's done is deceive and lie. Okay. But he did it with a vengeance when he came out of the Ooga Booga state after that 1,000 years. All right. It says, and shall go out and deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. All right. Now Gog and Magog, they are Satan as well. because they're Edomites too. Okay. So when it says here in verse 7, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, that's talking about Edomites. Edomites. All right. Edomites, period. All right. Now, Edomites come in different tribes. Uh, you got Amalek, which is a so-called Israeli. You got Gog, which is so-called Russians. Those are both Edomites, different tribes, both Edomites, both had the spirit of Satan. You got the so-called American Edomite. All right, you got the European Edomite. Okay, you got the Spanish Edomite. French Edomite, the Australian Edomite. All right, they're all Edomites. They all had the spirit of Satan. Okay, notice when with World War I and II, it was the Edomites fighting that shit. Okay, this World War III is gonna be different. But the point is that when they got loose out of that prison, the first thing they did was went to Gog and Magog and all the nations to gather them to battle. Okay, it says the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. Okay. Verse 9, it says, and they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city, all right, which is talking about Israel, the Israelites, your people before a place. The only saints mentioned in the scriptures is the Israelites, okay? The camp of the saints about in the beloved city, and fire came down from the Most High out of heaven and devoured them. All right, so when they think they about to make their move on us, and it's 11:11 right now. When they think they're about to make their move on the Israelites, that's when the Lord gonna intervene. All right. Now this is Ezekiel 38. I'm gonna read this in the NLT. I'm gonna start at verse. Let me see, verse 18. It says, "But this is what the sovereign Yahweh says: When Gog invades the land of Israel, my fury will boil over." Okay, because the Russians is going to invade the actual land of Israel. All right, so this is the Lord's plans, man. This is what China and Russia need to be expecting. All right, not no political superiority and trade and fucking, excuse my French, and microchips and fighter jets. No, you need to be worried about going into slavery. All right, being destroyed with fire, because that's the fate of China and Russia. It says verse 19, in my jealousy and blazing anger, I promise a mighty shaking in the land of Israel on that day. Okay, and that mighty shaking in the land of Israel is going to be by way of those missiles going off, thermonuclear missiles. Okay, it says all living things, the fish in the sea, the birds of the sky, the animals of the field, the small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the people on earth will quake in terror at my presence. Mountains will be thrown down, cliffs will crumble, walls will fall to the earth. I will summon the sword against you on all the hills of Israel, says the sovereign Yahweh. Your men will turn their swords against each other. All right, remember this is talking about Russia. Excuse me. Now you got all those allies that Russia is gonna have. All right, Ethiopia, Iran. Okay, other nations that are gonna be allies with Russia. Hey, all those nations gonna turn on each other, man. This is gonna be straight confusion, man. It's gonna be dog eat dog, the survival of the fittest, man. Okay. It says, I will punish you and your armies with disease and bloodshed. I will send torrential rain, hailstones, fire, and burning sulfur. In this way, I will show my greatness and holiness, and I will make myself known to all the nations of the world. Then they will know that I am Yahweh. Okay, so there's nothing good coming for the Russians, man. All right, in the land of Israel itself, that's gonna be hit with fire. You know, Russia and its allies is gonna be killing each other, man. You know, be diseased and plagued over there, all in the land of Israel. Okay, which that's gonna serve the purpose of this. Ezekiel 39 and 39 and 11, excuse me. It says in the NLT, it says, and I will make a vast graveyard for Gog and his hordes in the valley of the travelers east. Hold on, let me see. Okay, east of the Dead Sea. It says it will block the way of those who travel there, and they will change the name of the place to the valley of Gog's hordes. Okay, so real quick, what I want to do, get that word Hammond Gog, right? So there's this app here where you can type in certain places in the Bible. Valley, all right, so boom, Valley Hammond Gog, Ezekiel 39:11, which that's what we was reading, and through 15, and it'll show you exactly where that's at. Okay, now once again, verse 11, it says it will block the way of those who travel there, and they will change the name of the place to the valley of hordes. Actually, Salaki, up here where it says Gog and his hordes in the valley of the travelers east of the Dead Sea. So that's to the right of the Dead Sea. And as you can see, this is the Dead Sea here. And to the right or east of it, this here is the valley of Hammond Gog. All right. The valley of Hammond Gog. So in this area, this general area here, is where the Russians is going to be burying bodies, man. Okay? Where the Russians is going to be burying bodies. Okay? All right, just so little geographic knowledge for you, which, this app it's called Bible Map. Very, very edifying and useful map, all right, or tool, or app. Verse 12 in the NLT, Ezekiel 39, it says it will take 7 months for the people of Israel to bury the bodies and cleanse the land. All right, and it ain't gonna be us physically doing it. We're gonna be the slave masters dictating and navigating or orchestrating these nations and having them do what we tell them to do. Okay, it says everyone in Israel will help, for it will be a glorious victory for Israel when I demonstrate my glory on that day, says the sovereign Lord Yahweh. After 7 months, teams of men will be appointed to search the land for skeletons to bury, so the land will be made clean again. All right, so we're going to have people going out looking for skeletons, man. Okay? To cleanse the land, all right, to purify our land. It says, whenever bones are found, a marker will be set up so the burial crew will take them to be buried in the valley of Gog's hordes. or a Hamongog. All right. It says there will be a town there named Hamona, which means horde, and so the land will finally be cleansed. All right. Let's look that up. Same place. Look at that. Boom. Same place. All right. Let me see. That's for the sake of time. I believe I want to end it there for the sake of time. But you know, we just read the judgment that the Lord is going to bring about, bring about for China and for Russia. All right, and it's not good for them, man. It ain't nothing that they got in mind. We know that, that's for sure. Okay, but you know, Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson. Till next time, Shalom, Akim.